Hi, and welcome to Extraordinary Moments with Anita.
Thank you for having me.
So, can you tell us your full name and what you do?
My name is Jolene. I'm a stay-at-home mother of a 1-year-old right now.
Okay, good. So, could you please tell us your full story?
Okay.
So, start from anywhere you're comfortable.
Well, my story begins, I guess, when I was super young. I'm even trying to remember it now. I'm the oldest. My mom has 2 children, so it's me and my sister. I'm 3 years older than her. I remember we grew up with a lot of extended family. We're from a Caribbean island where it's almost like we share what we have, and you have neighbors and they share what they have. And so we grew up with lots of kids around us, cousins, all stuff like that. I remember when I was very young, my dad, he would often come to Canada because he got the opportunity as the only person in our family. And so he came to Canada, and so he's back and forth, back and forth. And so those times where we weren't with him, those times where he was gone, we were with my mom and her extended family.
Okay.
And so most of my childhood was spent just being with them, growing with them, stuff like that. Because we were with my mom, and technically my mom and my dad weren't married. And so when he left, I guess that severed the relationship. And she found somebody else that she started dating, and this person offered her a lot more than, because at the time it's almost like the whole family was poor, so to speak. And so this person came into her life, and he could offer her things, like space and a better house. And so I just remember a lot of my childhood being us moving from place to place to place. We never really understood why. All I know is that we would be at like a specific school for a certain time, and then we move, and then so we just keep moving houses. And so that went on for a long time. And I'm just thinking back now to us being the first in our family to have these things, because now everybody's looking at my mom like, okay.
When you say have these things, what are you referring to?
Have these things as in, okay, a stable house, because like I mentioned, we were mostly around our grandma's side of family, and so she had one house, and it was like a board house, so we call it. It was just board. And so it was 2 or 3 rooms, and you'd have like 6 or 7 or 8 people in the house. We would take to sleeping on the floor. We would share clothes. Like, stuff was just a struggle because, again, my grandma didn't have money, and so my mom and her sisters also didn't have money, so we just found it easier to congregate around my grandma's place. And so when my mom met this man, everybody was looking at her almost in like a jealous state, because here she is now being exposed to more, lavish things. She has a house, and for the first time, the house isn't just a wooden house with 3 rooms they all have to share. This person has a car, he has money, but the only,
that's the new guy she met after your dad.
Yeah. And so he has all these things, and he's giving them to her. And even what just comes to mind now is my mom often says that this particular man, he gave her a voice to speak, so to speak, because there were issues with my dad where she couldn't talk, and her voice was silenced, essentially. And this person, for the first time in her life, after all that she went through, gave her the space to speak, or so it seemed anyway. And so, we get established with him, and it's like, again, they're jealous and stuff like that. And so
you and your sister left your grandparents' house to live with your mom with this guy.
Yes.
Did they get married or
no? Okay. And that's what I was just gonna add. So, and again, everything seemed okay, and even though the family was jealous, it's the fact that this man was married. He had his own family in the US.
Your mom knows he was married?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
My mom knew that he was married. He, of course, knew that he was married. He had friends that also knew that he was married.
Oh, wow.
But he came from the USA. He had a really big family there with a wife, and so he stepped into our lives that way. And so as time went by, family would now start visiting us at this particular place in how do I say, it's a town. It was called Glen, and so he had a house there. We all lived there, and it's at that point where even now that I'm thinking back, I almost feel like he was just waiting for the opportune time, because prior to what I'm about to speak about now, I'm looking back and there were no signs. It wasn't like, okay, let's try certain things. It just kind of all happened at once. So when I was around 10 or 11, I remember that like he called me into his room and he sexually abused me. So he had me do things no child should ever have to do. And it's almost like for so long I put that part out of my mind. And I just...
You never told your mom?
No. Like, I've in the current state now, we've gotten past all these things. But I didn't tell her. And what happened out of me not telling her potentially was like lots of attempts by the enemy to truly separate us and truly sever our relationship, me and my sister's relationship with my mom. Because out of that place, because it was, how do I say, shoved down so deep, I just remember being so angry with my mom. Like, it's almost like I wanted to tell her and I became almost possessive of her. Like, I remember there were times where it's like it was so clear to me that, like, her giving of herself and of her time to this man was not what she should be doing. Because I wanted her to myself. And I think all that just festered up in the pain that I was dealing with. And even to this point, like, I still don't remember a lot of what happened, because I pushed it down so far.
Because your brain is trying to protect you. And
even worse is the fact that now currently, because again, we'll always be healing, because I don't think you just heal, you know, you go through
healing
stages.
Is progressive, yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. And so even now with my mom, as we sit and me and my sister dig stuff up, I'm realizing that I don't believe he just did this to me, because again, like I told you, in this particular new house we're in with him, we have other cousins. Like, I have another cousin who's around my age, an older cousin. We have no idea to this day of what happened to them, because I believe to my core that it wasn't just me. And I feel like at that state, all of us were in such...
We're all girls?
Yeah.
Do you think he molested your sister as well?
I honestly don't know.
Okay.
Because, I don't know. I really don't know. Because the thing is too, my mom, when she had me, was with my dad. But my sister is with him.
Okay.
And that's a whole other dynamic, because he refused to acknowledge my sister.
Okay.
Because, you know, he was like, oh, okay, I have a vasectomy and all that stuff, and she's not my child. So maybe that's why I refused to go to that place where I'm like, okay, maybe he did this to her, but I don't know. But I feel to my core that it wasn't just me. And I earnestly believe when people do things like this to children, it's not just one isolated incident. And I'm realizing now in just hearing my mom's story, because my mom also went through sexual abuse of multiple sexual attempts, multiple situations of sexual abuse. My aunt did. She's found out that her sister did. Exactly. And so it's realizing that up until we left the country and, you know, got to Canada, and now in the space where we're at, where we've given our lives to Christ, now is where we're looking back and really realizing the carnage, in the sense that me and my sister are the only two people to have spoken about things like we're essentially the ones who have started connecting the dots, and that this isn't just us. Like, it's like all the women in our family, like, even my grandma passed. We didn't have the luxury of sitting down and talking to her, but I believe it was her too. My great grandma the same. So it's almost like it's passed down from, you know, my great grandma to my grandma to my mom, and nobody spoke about it. Like, nobody sat and been like, okay, let's talk. Because my mom,
there's usually a stigma that goes with it, and so they don't want to be stigmatized. Yeah, but the only way to break it is by someone speaking up, and I'm so glad that you guys are gotten to that point,
that's just an act of God's grace, because after all that happened, and me now spiraling out with my mom, and at that age I'm still trying to process stuff. All I can do is how do I say, channel it in the best way I knew I could, which was anger. I was angry with her. I'm like, why are you always with this man? Why are you always spending your time with him? Why are we moving so much? And so ultimately we end up leaving the country. We leave the country, and
not with him.
No, my dad, because again, my dad is in Canada, and he's processing stuff to get us up to Canada too. And so he manages to get us up to Canada, and that just begins a whole new journey. Me and my sister. Just me and my sister. Because my dad doesn't, well, he has other children now, but at that time it was just me and my sister. And so we come to Canada, and it's almost like a whole other cultural shock at that point, because it's getting to know my dad again. Prior to us leaving, because we were away from him for what, 5, 6, 7 years ish. Yeah. And so in the backdrop, all this stuff is happening with, me being sexually abused, and, us all over the place, and no stationary place. All these things are happening. And my dad knows nothing about this. To this day, he doesn't know anything about this. And so I just vividly remember him being like, because he was super protective of us. And I love my dad. Like, I was a daddy's girl to heart. And I still am in my own way. It's just that I feel that separation for that moment. And after what had happened, I feel like that made it really hard for me to connect to him again. Because again, I vividly remember him at one point being, because he used to call us all the time and check in. He'd send us stuff. He'd make sure we were provided for. And so he'd be like, if he does anything, tell me. If he does anything, tell me.
Oh, your dad was?
Yes, he was. Yeah, my dad was on guard.
You couldn't tell him.
Because that was before anything happened. And so even that, like, no, if he does anything, tell me. So I never did. And so now, after such a long span of time, coming to Canada to see him again is almost like a whole culture shock. Because here's this person I haven't been in person with. Like, I see him as my dad, but he's now here. He started a new family, has new kids.
Oh, he got married when he got here.
He came here and he got married. And he has 2 kids who, were kind of shoved into as the older siblings for. And there's a lot of anger. Can
imagine.
And soon after that, my mom made her way up to Canada as well. And my mom at that point didn't have status in the country. And so it's her coming up and doing what she needed to do, and us finally getting to see her again. And so in that way.
How long were you separated from her?
My mom? I honestly can't remember.
Okay.
Not that long though. Okay. Not that long.
Okay.
And so she came up, she was able to find a space to stay and all that stuff. And it's like all that resentment that had been building up in me, after now being with my dad, there were problems as well, because he couldn't connect with us, because here I am now, growing into my teenage years.
No longer the little girl he left.
Exactly. And so trying to process on my own as well. And his wife, well, she didn't have children when we came up, or did she? I can't remember. She had our brother by then, but she doesn't know anything about children, because again, he's her first child, and we're girls. She doesn't know how to manage. So again, I just remember her trying to explain my period to me, like, okay, don't have sex, and this is what you use. Like, that was literally it. Because again, there was this like lack of closeness, because I feel like in her mind, maybe she was like, okay, they're not my children, they're his children.
Or maybe she didn't even know what to do.
That too, because again, she's still when she had her first child, she's still relatively young, and so that could also be an explanation for it. But
just give her grace and say,
of course. Okay. And so it's my mom finally coming up, getting established, and again, the resentment building up in me. and all these things happening. And so at that point, my dad, we get shifted over to live with my mom. And so my mom is struggling to make ends meet. We don't really have community around us or our family around us. But then we have aunts and other friends kind of trickling in. And so we slowly build our own community around me, my mom, my sister. My aunt comes up and we're establishing with her as well. And we move cities with her, and my aunt starts having children. Yeah. And so it just grows. And ultimately, I go to school and all that stuff. And we end up in Hamilton. But even before we were in Hamilton, it's like, let's see, my sister ended up getting diagnosed with diabetes. And that was around the same point where my mom had met somebody else on an app. And she decided that we were holding her back and that she was going to move with this person to Hamilton. And so I think what happened with me in that space, it's like, it's almost...
What's supposed to happen to you guys? She moved with him to Hamilton?
She moved with him to Hamilton, and we're in Scarborough at that time. And me and my sister are still in school at that time. My sister's just diagnosed with diabetes at that time.
And you were supposed to leave by yourself?
And we didn't know how to manage. Like, it was
how old were you?
I don't know, 16? 20?
Wow, and
20, about 20-ish.
Okay.
Maybe 20, 19, 20, I don't know.
And you were supposed to take care of yourself while she moves to Hamilton?
Yeah. And
okay.
So...
how did you manage with that?
We didn't. There was a point where we were supposed to move out because she was like, okay, I'm giving up the apartment. And even before that, me and my sister, I think at that point, one or both of us my sister was on assistance. So she was getting a little bit of help, but it wasn't enough to cover the rent and to pay for stuff. So I remember us trying to make ends meet because my sister was on assistance at that point, and I was working at McDonald's, and it still wasn't enough. And so my mama decided that she was going to give up the apartment. And there was a point where my sister had started considering, going into prostitution, because she was like, we need to get the bills paid. And she knew people who would have opened that avenue for her. And by the grace of God, she never did. By the grace of God, she never did. But ultimately, my mom did. She came down and we cleared the apartment, and we were now forced back to go to our dad's. That lasted 2 days? That lasted not even. Really? Maybe fine. Maybe anywhere between 2 days and 2 weeks. I don't know. But again, it was such a short period of time because it's almost like, because my dad was at the time more established than my mom. He had status in the country. He had a house. He had space because he already had kids and a wife. But it's almost like, because I didn't know him, and because I felt like he never made space for me, and so we would always run. We would always run. So that was literally our only option at this point. Or we would. So where did you go? We went to my dad's and we stayed there for a little while, and then we left. And we left in such a hurry.
Left to where? I
went to there was this guy that I was dating that time, and
so you moved in with him.
I hadn't moved in with him, but it's almost like he was like a temporary stop until we were able to figure something out.
So what happened to your sister? Why you were temporarily with him?
I honestly can't remember. I think she went to stay with a friend.
Okay. So there was some kind of separation.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Because I was at his house, and I just remember us, how do I say it, hurriedly, like we cleared everything we needed to clear out of the house, because it's like, okay, we're in Scarborough. We have to be out of the apartment by XYZ time. We move everything really quickly. We take it to my dad's, only to a short few weeks after, shift it from my dad's to the person that I'm staying with's house until we can get it to, I guess, where my mom is, because my mom's in Hamilton. And at that point, we didn't know that we were going to be in Hamilton, but she made space and she spoke to the person that she's with, and we get confirmation. So we move to Hamilton. We take all the things and we go to Hamilton. And so when we move to Hamilton, and it's like everything kind of just restarts, because here my mom is living with this man, just like she was living with this man when I was young. And
how did that make you feel?
Oh, I was
so almost relieved.
I was so angry. Like the front emotion at those times for me was anger. And looking back now, I can see how that just kind of blew up in certain places, because, like I mentioned, in Hamilton now, my mom is here with this man, and it's like just reliving. Because even when I was young, I would look at the way these men would treat and speak to my mom, and like I was so upset, because I was like, why is he
obviously not treating her right?
No, they were not. They'd speak down to her, and she'd be like a servant to them, and it would upset me, because I love my mom, and who are you to berate her and have her doing these things for you like she's a servant? And so I just remember being so upset, because I'm like, you're just reliving the same situation again, where you're with this man now. And
why are you doing that over and over again?
You're only with this man now because he offered a space, and he's also charging you. He's charging you to stay there. You're dating him, and he's charging you rent.
She was paying rent?
Yes. How? Oh my Lord! It's a whole situation. It's a whole situation.
Oh my goodness.
She's paying. She's struggling to pay rent. She doesn't have status in the country, stuff like that. And so it's like,
but he's her boyfriend.
I know. And so, she's struggling to pay rent now, because he's agreed to have me and my sister come to stay there. That's gonna go up a little bit more, so she's gonna have to pay for
she's gonna pay more.
Yes, and so
but he's getting benefit.
Yes,
I'm sorry, he's sleeping with her.
Yeah.
So what is he offering to her?
Yes, and so we're at the state where it's a 1-bedroom apartment.
Oh Lord God!
And he's in the room with my mom, and me and my sister take to sleeping outside on the floor in the living room. We literally have a divider, and so we would get sheets and we would sleep there. And then I started working, and my sister started working, and soon enough, my sister was able to find a place to stay, but I didn't find a place to stay, and so it's almost like it created, I would say, like a vacuum in me, because I don't have a place to stay. And it's almost like I just remember at that point, I'm staying in the living room there, and I'm also going to school, because at that time I was going to the University of Toronto, and I would be commuting from my mom's to my aunt's, because my aunt ended up moving to Hamilton as well, and she was literally like 2 or 3 streets over. And so I'm commuting between all these places. I'm between my mom, I'm between my aunts, I go to my boyfriend sometimes, and so it's like I wasn't able to put roots down, and so I kind of just felt like a paper bag flowing in the wind.
How did that make you feel?
Like, I felt so broken over it. I vividly remember at one point, like, I was in tears, because my sister ended up, when she found her apartment, my mom had to convince her to have me stay with her. And I think it broke me so much, because I was like, I thought she'd always be the one that wanted me. And in that moment, like, I felt like nobody wanted me. And so I just vividly remember being all over the place, like being at my aunt's. She would complain about me and certain things I wasn't doing, and so there wasn't space for me. And so even while I was at my aunt's, that relationship that I mentioned with the guy that helped us, and the guy that I stayed with when we left my dad's, and we ended up in a relationship. What do you call it? We broke up during the time I was staying at my aunt's. And it's like he just disappeared. And so that also created another vacuum in me. And so it's like, okay, people are leaving me.
Did it make you feel like you're not wanted?
Yeah.
You're rejected?
Yeah, like nobody wanted me.
Okay.
And so he left. And so this guy that I was in the relationship with, it's almost like it carried from when I was in Scarborough with my aunt. Um, it carried from there, and it came to Hamilton. So while I was in Hamilton, I'm still dating him. And then when my aunt finally moves from Scarborough, that's when we break up.
Okay.
So we were at that time together for about, I don't know, 2 to 3 years. And so when we broke up, I had no warning. So he just disappeared. Out of nowhere, he just disappeared. Only to find out later stuff was going on with him, but he ghosted me. And that broke me. That took me into a place of despair and depression. And so I was really grateful at the time that I had my aunt around me, because my mom was there, but she was over there because I'm still trying to process the whole situation with the man that my mom's with. And so we break up, and I think it was like a year or 2 years later, he pops up again, and we get back together. And
wait, no, hold on. He ghosted you.
Yes.
1 year, 2 years.
Yes.
He pops up, and you went back to him.
Yes.
Why?
I don't know. I think at that point, I was like, okay, he's the only person that ever wanted me. Because with him, like, I just remember he's in like, what do you call it? Toronto. My aunt is in Scarborough. I remember throwing myself into things for him. Like, he'd go around and brag to his friends about how I was taking care of the house, and I'd bring groceries. Like, I would take groceries from Scarborough to where he lived by bus. And I was
feeding him.
I was taking yes, because for the first time in my life, after all the stuff that happened, and not being close to my dad, he's the first person that wanted me.
I mean, it just feels to me that you're doing the same thing your mother was doing, but at the time you didn't know.
See?
Yeah, because now in hindsight, if you look at it, if you look at it this way, you probably won't be so angry with your mom, because that's how your mother felt at the time. And that's why when they were talking to her, down to her and all that, like, well, this guy wants me, so he's the only one who wants me, so I will stay. I will take whatever he's giving to me, dishing out to me. You are doing the same thing without knowing. So it's by default. It's not, nobody should blame you for it or blame your mother for it, because at the time that was the only thing that made sense. You understand what I mean? Yeah. It's easier to judge somebody when you're not in their shoes.
I know. And it's interesting that you even say that, because I remember during my teenage years, I would, like, out of all this place of anger, I would say such horrid things to her. I'd say such horrid things to my sister, things that I'm still trying to make up for in my own way, because once you speak something, you can't take it back. And I just remember telling her I never wanted to be anything like her. And, like, I was just, because in my mind, I was blaming her for what happened to me. And she has no idea that I'm doing this, and no idea that this event even happened. And I just blamed her, because I was like, if you hadn't been with him, this wouldn't happen to me, and I don't want to be anything like you. And it was horrible. And so now that you say that, yeah, it's like I looked at those things and I started doing them, because, again, this is the first person that wanted me, that claimed me. And not only did he claim me, he lifted me up, so to speak, in front of people. Mind you, for the worst things, like the way I looked, but he did that selfishly.
But you thought it was love. Because, I mean, he's bragging to people, she's feeding me, she's doing. You shouldn't be the one doing that. He should be the one taking care of you.
Yeah. And so, when we broke up, it took a really, really hard hit. Like, I struggled with like suicide and depression and stuff when I was in my teenage years as well, because that was a really rocky period. And I just vividly remember my mom and my sister almost being on 24-hour alert, like 24-hour watch, because they were worried that they were going to come home and find me dead somewhere. Because they sensed it, but it's not like we spoke these things. And so they would just kind of create their own thing where they, covered me in those spaces. And so,
did you ever attempted suicide?
Yeah, at one point, I wanted to jump off the 7th floor of our apartment building. And I was really close to, but I think in that moment when reality hit me that, okay, My mom and my sister are gonna have to come scrape me off the floor, and how they're gonna deal with that after. So I did it. I did it.
Thank goodness you didn't.
Yeah, I thought about pills and like knives, cutting myself and stuff too, but I could never get myself to do physical harm to myself. So I never did, but by the grace of God, I never.
So glad you didn't. Otherwise, I would not have met you.
By the grace of God, I never did. Thank you, Lord.
No, tell me more. So
we broke up. We got back together, and at that point, I'm trying to. How do I say? My mom and my sister already know the situation, and even worse is the fact that I'm now repeating, like you mentioned, patterns that my mom had taken on, and so I would later come to find out that he was married to somebody else.
Just like the other guy back. Oh my goodness.
Before we broke up, I found out that he was married to somebody else. And when we got...
You see the pattern? Exactly what happened to your mother. But at the time, you didn't know that you were repeating pattern.
Yeah. And so I repeat that. And even after having found out, and I remember I was so upset. I felt betrayed, all these things. It's almost like it got wiped from my mind because I loved him and I wanted to be with him because he's the only person that wants me. And so...
No, he's not the only person that wants you. You felt at the time that he was the only person that wants you.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that wasn't right. Yeah.
And so we get back together, and I'm now trying to bring this to my mom and my sister, and I'm trying to sugarcoat it so they accept it. And I just remember messaging my mom. I still have a message today where my mom tries to warn me, and I'm like, yeah, I love him, and so we're going to be together. And this is all while...
At this point, you knew he was married?
Yep. And... Like, I didn't, because again, we had spent a couple years apart, and in my mind, foolishly, I thought that had changed. He had dealt with that, and I didn't ask. But knowing now, it was just me trying to assuage what I already knew. He was still married. And so we continue on in this relationship, not knowing where we're going. And it gets to a point where I'm now back in a space where I'm going down to his house that he's sharing with all these people, and I'm taking food.
He's sharing with his wife?
No, he's not sharing with his wife. He's sharing with friends.
What happened to his wife?
They're not together. They don't live together.
But they're not divorced?
No. And so I'm now going down to his house in Toronto, and taking things for him again. I get back into the state where I'm lending him money that I've saved for stuff, money I saved for school, because he's like, oh, I need help with rent and stuff like that. And I'm giving him my money freely. And I'm hiding these things from my mom and my sister. And we're also dealing with our own issues up at the house. My mom is also dealing with her own issues up at the house, up at where she lives with him.
Oh, at the time she was still living with the guy?
Yeah, with her husband.
Oh, they got married?
Yeah, they got married. Eventually they got married. And so what happens after that, there was this really rough hiccup where he was verbally and mentally abusing my mom. And we found out when it got to how do I say, an intersection where he almost killed her. That led to so much pain. Like that led to so much pain and so much anger.
I can imagine.
In both me and my sister, there were times where we would sit and we would just kind of wait and be like, okay, we're not going to know if anything happens to her, because what happened is they had a disagreement because he wanted her money to be used a specific way, and so
he wanted her own money.
Yes,
not his money.
No, because he wasn't working; he was on disability,
and then he's making her pay rent. My goodness,
he was on disability, and so he didn't like the fact that she was going to do something with her money that wasn't what he wanted, and he basically pushed her up against the wall and was going to strangle her. He threw her phone away so she couldn't call, and at that point she used an excuse to calm him down, and she left the house because she had an appointment that day, so they were expecting her. So she was like, okay, I still have that appointment, I still have to go. And so he calmed down and she was able to leave the house. And so she left the house and she went to my sister's house, because I told you how my sister moved on. My mom, so it was essentially my sister, my mom, and my aunt.
Okay.
And so my mom, after that, she went to my sister's house. I'm at this point tutoring somebody because I was tutoring at that time, and I get the message that he almost killed my mom. My mom is at my sister's house. She's trying to work up the nerve to call the police and give a statement, and she didn't want to, and she did. And ultimately, what comes out of that is so much pain for my sister because she ended up blaming my sister for making her call.
No, sorry. Say it again. Your mom blamed your sister
for making her call the police.
Why? He got arrested?
No.
So what's she upset about? Okay.
Actually, wait. Did he? He did. He got arrested. But I think it's almost like she wanted to get back into the space with him. And so she almost made it seem like my sister forced her. Because at that point, they were badgering her. He went and told his family specific stories. And they started calling her to try to tell her not to do this thing. But ultimately, he does get charged. And he does get a record. Like, it's on his record. And so at that point, because they call her and they guilt her, she goes back. And
she went back to him?
She goes back. She goes back.
After the police case?
She goes back. And she's living with him. And so at that time...
How long did she live with him?
By God's grace, it wasn't that long. It wasn't that long. Because,
and where were you at this point? Because I remember you saying you don't have a place.
Yeah.
You had a place. So
yeah.
So when she went back, did you get back to staying with them as well?
What happened is I ultimately do move and live with my sister. Okay. And when we start living there, by God's grace, he aligns for us to find a place that we can live together.
You and your sister?
Yes. At that time, we had bad credit. For this place, we didn't need credit. We didn't need a credit check. And so we were able to get this place, 2 bedrooms for the first time in such a long time. Me and my sister up to that point had never lived together alone. It was just that small amount of time where we were trying to figure out what to do when my mom left.
Yeah, exactly.
And so first time we're here and it was a struggle at first. We got it sorted out. And we were established and we were living there together. And it was during this time now where we're living together that this happened with my mom. And so, was it? No, it wasn't. Because it's almost like they overlap. Because
just whatever you can remember.
Okay. Because
this story is more about you, not your mom.
So. Yeah. But it's almost like they go in with each other. It's like, so my sister and myself were living together in the apartment my sister didn't want me to come with her to live in. And it's almost like after the whole situation with my mom and going to my sister, blaming my sister, all these things, she goes back. We then shift and we get the new apartment.
Okay.
Yes. Okay. And so now while she's back with him is when we're now in the new apartment.
Okay.
So now that we're in the new apartment, my mom wasn't with him long, but I just remember us being so worried that we were just going to get the call one day that, he's killed her or she's not alive anymore. And that
must have been.
Yeah.
I have no words for it.
There was a lot of turmoil during that time. There's a lot of, all we could do was cry. And it's almost like looking back now, it's almost like the Lord just sorted it out. We didn't even have to worry. By the end of that year, because I know, because it was during COVID. Was it during COVID? No. But by the end of that year, it sorted out when my sister gets sick and my mom comes over to take care of her. Okay. And I know it's the end of year because it was during Christmas. And so during that time, my mom comes over and she's with us and my sister gets really, really sick. And so that serves as the catalyst for them breaking up. So my mom called him to say she's not coming over. And he just blows up. And at that point, it's as if God had been working on my mom's heart. And she was like, no, I'm not going back over.
This time around, I'm not going back.
And that's from there. And from there, she stays with us. And so she lives with us to this day now. And it's from then.
Now let's narrow it back to you.
Yeah, so back to me now. So it's almost like this and my situation overlap because like I mentioned, the guy that I was with, he left me. We decided to get back together while my mom was dealing with her stuff, with the abuse and all that. And so we get back together. And now here I am in this space with my mom and my sister, because by then my mom had moved over. And my ex now needs a place to go. He doesn't have anywhere to go. He doesn't know anybody else.
The ex that is married.
The ex that I've now taken back, that's still married. Yes.
Okay.
He needs somewhere to live. He can't stay at his place anymore. And so we decide, because I was like, okay, yes, finally I get to be with you and all these things. Oh my Lord.
And you took him in.
Yes.
Say no, please. Say no.
Yes, he moves in with us. Because we had 2 bedrooms at that point. He moves in with us in the 1 bedroom that I had. And so it's me and him and my mom. My sister's in her room.
Do foolish things.
My sister's in her room. My mom is in the living room.
Whoa.
Yes.
Okay.
And so we're there and stuff just keeps getting worse. Where I feel like I knew when the relationship was supposed to end and I pushed it long past its expiry date. And it was during one of those periods where I met Christ. Where I vividly remember being in the room and he's on his phone and I'm laying down on the bed and I'm scrolling YouTube. And it's almost like God had been planting seeds along the way, because I just remember scrolling and ending up on this particular video of this African man who's giving his testimony. He's a pastor. And tell me how his testimony was like 2 hours long. And I'm like, no, I need to watch it. And so I sat there for the 2 hours and I'm listening to him intently. And there's no question in it that I wanted to give my life to Christ. And so at the end, where he's like, okay, if you want to give your life to Christ, you have to understand, you have to surrender all. He doesn't want part, he wants all. And so in the bedroom on that bed, laying down with my ex in the corner there, I was scrolling his phone, I give my life to Christ. And so from there, it's just me being on fire for him, not truly understanding what his love meant for me, like understanding what
his love, God's love.
Yeah, God's love. Not truly understanding what God's love meant for me, thinking I understood it. But even if I didn't, at that point, I'm talking to my sister about God and how, I'm now intently reading my Bible for the first time. I'm digging up the Bible, because right after I watched the video, it's almost like something in me like, okay, you need a Bible. So I go on Amazon and I get a Bible. The Bible comes and I'm reading and all these things, and I'm thinking I know all these things. And
while the guy's still living with you.
Exactly. Exactly. And I'm, doing all the things, praying, talking to my mom and my sister about how God is so good, worshiping, and
telling them to give their life to Christ.
Yep.
And there's a man in your room.
Yeah. Thinking they're listening and all these things. And this man, it's almost like he was a blur. But there comes a point now in our relationship where I haven't even discussed this with him. It's almost like he's, again, like I said, he's a blur. I haven't laid boundaries and been like, okay, I've given my life to Christ now. This is what I expect. This is what I need. He's still living with me. And so it's just him being there. And at one point, I fell with him. I went back and I slept with him. And when I fell with him, I end up getting pregnant. And that just drew me into this.
How long were you together before you got pregnant?
before I got pregnant. Do you mean like when we were first, like when you left initially?
Altogether, how long before you give your life to Christ? How long were you guys together?
I think it was about a year.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was a year.
No, I mean, you guys were together, then he left for 2 years or thereabout, then came back. All together.
Really? No.
Yeah, you guys dated for how long before he ghosted you?
Oh, we were together for about 2.5 years before
he ghosted you. Then when he came back, 1 year.
Yeah.
Okay, so all the time you were not born again, you dated and you didn't get pregnant.
No.
And then you got born again, you fell. It's the time that you fell that you got pregnant.
Yes.
Interesting.
And so that just, my pregnancy pulled me into a hole, because here I am, like, just replaying it, where I'm like, okay, I'm talking to my mom and my sister about Christ. This man is living with me. I'm still in my sin, and I fall. And so there was so much shame and so much guilt. I felt like a hypocrite. And so I just remember during those 9 months, it's like I was in a stage of denial, where I was like, no, I'm not pregnant. Yeah, I'm not pregnant. I'm not gonna, if I don't say it, then if I don't speak it out, then it's not. And then my belly started growing. Yeah, then my belly started growing.
Yeah, pregnancy.
And I just vividly remember, even in those times, I was so stubborn. There was so much shame that covered me. I refused to call it to God. I refused, because I was so stubborn. Because in my mind, like I mentioned, I had not yet experienced his love and forgiveness that comes with that. Because I was like, okay, if you fall, then that's it. And I had fallen, so I'm like, that's it for me then.
Yeah.
And so
God is never going to talk to me. He's done with me. But that's the lie of the devil.
Even in the stage where I had gotten pregnant, and I'm at the crossroads where I have to make a decision of whether to keep my child or not, because like I mentioned, there's so much silence in my family. Nobody truly ever spoke about their experiences with having children out of wedlock or potential abortions and stuff like that. So I'm at the crossroads where I'm like, okay, am I going to keep this child? Because my biggest worry is, okay, I'm going to have to raise this child alone with this man that I
ultimately repeating what your mother did. You see how you're following patterns without knowing it. Generational patterns without knowing it.
Yeah.
But even in all of it, God's got you.
I didn't know it at that time, but I remember when I was making that decision, like I had the appointment booked twice for the abortion, and I canceled the first one. And the second one it's now knowing the Holy Spirit, and it's almost like in my mind, I'm like, okay, if you do this, and if you go through with the second appointment, if you go and abort this child, you're not going to be able to stand before God. You are not going to be able to stand before God. Because I knew this was going to take me down into the depths of something I was going to struggle to climb out of. And so I didn't. And I kept my baby, and now the baby's growing. And even then, I'm not calling out to God because I'm stubborn. And so I go and I'm in labor, and time to have the baby, I'm in labor for about 13 hours. The baby's not moving. Ultimately, they come in and they're like, okay, you're going to need to have a C-section. And I'm sitting there and I'm grappling with the fact that they're about to do surgery on me and I could potentially die. And I'm not calling out to God in my stubbornness, in my foolishness. And so, by God's grace, the baby comes.
Without doing surgery?
No, we did the C-section, and because we did the C-section. Did you call on God?
Oh, you didn't?
No. I'm still stubborn. And so we have the baby, and I'm now thrust into motherhood and not knowing what I'm doing. And so it's just interesting how God will he'll always use your mistakes. He'll always use your mistakes. Nothing is wasted. And so I just remember since my daughter came, because remember I had fallen, I had stepped away from God and stuff like that, and God used my baby to draw not just me but my sister and my mom to him. And in with her, she was able to get baptized. I was able to get baptized, and my sister, my mom, rededicated herself
and back to God.
And my baby. And it's interesting because it's not like I went to him and I feel like in my baptism and in those moments leading up to my baptism, because it's almost like I'd come out of a space where I'd realized I needed him. And so when the immediate opportunity rose up for me to go back to church, because for the longest while after I had the baby, I was just like, okay, we need to go to church. There's just England, we need to go to church. We didn't know any church around us. But what came to mind was a church that we went to before. At this point, I'm repeating. It's almost as if the words I'm speaking to my sister and my mom have come back full force on me, where, again, I remember speaking down to my mom in such horrid ways, and even my sister during these teenage years that I'm having, and talking down to them and saying things like things people aren't supposed to say to people that are in their lives. But at that point, I'm like, okay, they're stuck with me, and I'm their family, so they're not going to leave me even if I say these things. But now I'm realizing a lot of that was just pain and trauma, and not knowing the best way to share the pain that I was dealing with them. And so in the case of my mom, it's now currently, like, at the end of the story, just, how do I say, all the things that I had been upset with her about, and the things she was doing for these men, and you know, her pushing herself full force into their lives, wanting to be the person they wanted. I'm now that person.
Even though they were not treating her right.
Exactly. And even though this person, I've realized that this person isn't the person for me because of things that are happening, I'm still there with him. And so even I remember when I was faced with the decision that I had to make, of whether or not I was going to keep my baby, my sister had to make that decision.
You had to make that decision.
Yeah, she had to make that decision as to whether or not she would keep her baby, because
so she also got pregnant.
Yeah, so I believe it was a few months before I got pregnant, she found out that she was pregnant.
How did you feel when she got pregnant?
And so when she was pregnant, when I found out that she got pregnant, because she told it to me, she told me at Walmart while we were looking for shoes that I was going to buy, and it just came out of nowhere, because I was like, okay. But I felt so disappointed.
Why?
Because I was the person who would always, how do I say, look down on women who had babies, just in general, because I had decided in my mind.
Not married and have babies.
Yes.
There you are. Your sister is saying, oh, she's not married and she's pregnant.
Yep.
You felt disappointed? Or?
I was disappointed because at the time, the person she was with, I knew that he wasn't the person for her and that she deserved better. But it's interesting how I saw that for her and not for myself.
You were still living with this guy.
Yep.
Oh,
we're not married.
Not married.
He's married somebody else, and I'm now pregnant for him. And so I was the biggest hypocrite. Like, I just remember when she told me, I was disappointed because I wanted better for her. And I always looked down on women who had children out of marriage. And I was always the one, because people would look at me, and when we would show up in a space, it would be like, oh, okay, my sister was the one that was going to have the kids. Oh no, I'm never, not me. I'm going to be married, or if I'm not married, I'm just not going to have them at all. And yet here I am now, finding myself not only repeating the stuff, the words I'd casted on my mom, not about not wanting to be like her, and with my sister about her having her child
out of wedlock.
And I'm now, like, literally, I'm now in a box with these exact things I had casted on other people.
No husband, and
this person is married to somebody else. And so in the exact situation I had been shaming other people for being in at that point. And so it's almost like when I finally came to Christ, it's like a veil was lifted from my eyes, in the sense that all that pain and all that trauma that I dealt with in my youth, and all the places where I couldn't speak, it's now like all I wanted to do was connect. There was just this overflowing love and joy for people. I truly realized and came to realize the weight of my words, and how words truly cut deep. And so at that point, I was like, okay, I need to love them better. I need to steward my words better. And even, for example, people that just knew me, it's almost like I was stoic, and up to the point where I found Christ, I wasn't able to express my emotions because, again, my sister and my mom would be the women that were, around people, physical contact. It's almost like up to the point where I found Christ, it's all like my emotions were dead, like they were shut down because of what happened, and I didn't feel like I could get close to people or trust people or find a safe place with people. So I was always the one who was offstandish. I wouldn't hug people. I took pride in the fact that I could be blunt with people and hurt people and not feel sorry for it or not feel bad about it. And that was just flipped on its head 180 when I found Christ. To the point where I didn't even...
They're like a different person.
To the point where I couldn't even recognize myself. Like, like one of my mom's friends who I hadn't seen in so long, met up with her. And for the first time ever, she's been my mom's friend for years. For the first time ever, I've hugged her, and she's like, I haven't been hugged like this in a while. Yes.
Like, what happened to you?
Exactly. And so it's like, I just want to go into these spaces and give love because before I knew Christ, it's like that was stripped away from me. I'm starting to, like, at that time, I'm starting to talk to my mom more and confess stuff. And as stuff comes up, just asking for forgiveness, being gentler with her, all these things that the Father just allowed me to step into out of His love. So out of an overflow of His love, I was able to finally, and it just felt like a latch opened on the door and it just came out.
Yeah.
And so it's living in that. It's stepping into that now.
Have you been able to sit with your mom and your sister to talk about these things and see how you can deal with it? Because, like I said, like you also mentioned, it's a generational thing, and you guys are the first generation talking about it because it happened to your grandmother, the mother before, your aunts, and all that. Now, are you able to talk about these things, and are you able to kind of find healing and forgiveness?
Yeah, that was one of the first things that we were able to do because before we found Christ, what started this process of digging stuff up, my sister started going to therapy. And I realized that mindset where I was like, okay, when I was in teens, where it would cause me to lash out, that mindset of, oh, they're not going to leave me because they're family. That was just shattered because in that moment when she started going to therapy, it dawned on me that her and my mom, they didn't have to stay with me.
Yeah.
And they were the only people I knew. It was like, okay, they're the only people you have, right?
So if they leave you,
exactly. And so it stirred up in me this need to be like, okay, if she is going to, start opening, if her eyes are going to start being opened about the patterns that she's walking in and the things that have been passed down to her, I want to know too, and I want to change because it's almost like we've been neck and neck since we were young. So she would go up and I would go up as well. And so that's what started it. And after we then got baptized, it continued into where we're now all in the space where we're learning about Christ and the Holy Spirit is digging stuff up and exposing things that we didn't even know about ourselves, but about each other. And so we're for the first time sitting and talking and noticing connections. Where, for example, as I'm dealing with my sexual abuse, my sister's on the back burner. She's also dealing with hers at the same time. And my mom, she didn't know any of this had happened to me. And so she was also carrying her own issues of sexual abuse and stuff like that. So it's for the first time us actually sitting down and the Holy Spirit just digging them up and us bringing them to the forefront and apologizing and getting to know each other, truly getting to know each other outside of the pain and the trauma that these horrid situations bring. And if anything, I joke with not even joke, but it's it's such an amazing thing where I thought our relationship was strong before,
but now
after we found Christ, it's like we're yeah, we're like it's like, and it's not just even her, it's me and my mom and her.
Oh, wow,
it's like we've
awesome.
cemented in, like,
Awesome.
and to the point where people, it's almost like you go out and you tell people about, you know, the connection you have, because you're just like you're sitting in the love and the joy that your family brings. And it seems so, how do I say, it seems so awkward to, because people are like, oh, you have that kind of relationship with your mom and your sister? Oh, you tell them everything? I'm like, yeah, we talk, we tell them, yeah. And so it's almost strange for them to see us sitting in this. But there's no way that you can give your life to Christ and get to know Christ and then not sit and you know, rehash.
You can never remain the same.
You can't.
Yeah.
You can't.
Yeah, there had to be a change, and it's going to be so evidential that people will notice without even you saying it.
Exactly, and that's exactly what happened. My mom and my sister were, now she wants to hug us. Like, there was this whole thing where I was so standoffish about physical contact, I wouldn't hug them, and so they would hug each other, and it would almost be like this hesitation to come towards me for physical contact because they just knew. Now it's like, okay, why am I not getting hugs? I'm making up for that lost time. Like, I want to give up that love and that affection that God has doted out on me. And so it's
so
like,
abundantly.
Yes, and it's like
Powerful.
that. Yes. And it's like that everywhere I go. I'm just like, okay, like I want you to be seen. I don't want you to feel the way I felt or not have that connection. I want you to know that love that I felt through the Father.
Talking about feeling the way you felt, how can you talk a little bit? Sorry, can you talk a little bit more about the trauma, the pain, and how it has shaped the person you've become before you met Christ?
I think in me being sexually abused by somebody that was really close and trusted, not just by me but by my mom, I feel like it almost sucked me into a hole that I couldn't quite get out of, because of course I'm a child then, but it's almost like I got stuck at that phase, where, you know, like how children don't have their own space to speak, and children will speak, but adults will sideline them. I always felt like my voice carried no weight.
So why bother speaking?
Exactly. And so I that carried all the way into my teenage years, where I remember even through high school, I had no friends. I wouldn't connect with people, anything. It's not like I had no space to direct that outward because I didn't have, and it's not like I didn't physically have them. I didn't allow myself to be in that space with them, to share. And so I just internalized it, and that led to a lot of depression, anxiety, suicidal thoughts, not wanting to live. It just felt like I was in a deep, dark pit that I couldn't get out of. And so if you allow things like that to truly, how do I say, I can't even remember my word.
Fester?
Huh?
If you allow,
yes, if you truly allow things like that to fester in you, ultimately all that's going to happen is you're going to explode, and not in the best way. And I feel like when you do explode, it's going to be to your detriment. Like, it's going to hurt all the people around you, and in hurting them, you're going to come to a realization that you really hurt them, and you're going to have to sit with that. Like, I'm sitting with that. I'm going to sit with that for the rest of my life. Like I said, it's almost like I feel like I have to, out of this place of love now, it's seeing what's been done and course correcting, but I also need to continuously make up for that.
Wow. So, looking back at the person you were then and the person you are now, what would you say is the difference?
Oh wow, that's a really big question. Let's see. The person I am now, in knowing that I have a father that loves me and that
And when you
sees
say
me.
Father, you mean God, right?
Yes,
Just
yes, yes. That loves me and that cares for me. It grounds me. So there will always be moments where you're almost threatened to go back into that place. There are times where depression will threaten to cover me again, or I'll get anxious, or I'll want to go back into that place of shyness because it feels comfortable and it feels safe. But it's being rooted in him and knowing that I'm not going alone, that I'm not alone without him, and I don't have to run from him. Because I remember after I fell with my ex, that was a really dark point, because it's like I had tasted of God, and I had seen his goodness briefly, and then it was taken away by the fact that I fell. And so it's like, now I'm never going to take that for granted.
Yeah.
I never want to be separated from, I never want to be separated from him, and by my own doing, because I had a tendency of running from him, because again, I felt like I didn't truly know that he was a safe space. He was a safe place for me that I could come into.
Yeah.
And so now that I've experienced that, I never want to lose. I will never lose that.
You do everything possible to ensure that you don't lose that.
Yes, because I never want to not be with him. I never want to not be connected to him. And
haven't been there in the past, right, where you went through all these things, the trauma, the abuse, the anger, and all that, and now this new you, it's almost like you've tasted both words, right? So there might be someone out there who is living the life you once lived, and they're wondering, can I come out of that? Like you didn't know you could come out of that, right? So they're in that position where you used to be. Can I come out of that? What would you say to the person?
I say you most definitely can, but it's not an issue of whether you can. You need to come to Christ and find Christ, and not run from him. We often tend to feel like, when we're coming to him, we have to be clean. We don't bring our baggage. You have to come a certain way. He doesn't say that. He says, come. And come, so you should just come and know that God is no respecter of persons. He's not partial to a particular kind of people or a particular kind of place you have to be. He says, come. And so even in the moments where you're tempted to run, don't run from him. Don't run. Mind you, he works all things for good, but don't run from him. It makes it harder for you, because he's calling you and telling you to come, so that he can heal you and bring you back to a space where you're whole again. And mind you, that healing takes time, and that's okay.
It's progressive.
Yeah. And so I would say, come. Let nothing stand in your way, and just come to him. Don't run.
Okay, well said. What will be your final message to anyone at all watching this, listening to you, sharing your story?
God is real. If he can use me, he can use you. If he could change my life, he could change yours. And there are certain circumstances that might seem heavy or too big, but God is bigger than all that. God's bigger than all that. And also, make use of the people that God has given you around, like the people around you that God has given you. Don't take them for granted. Don't disregard them or use your words as weapons against them. If you're dealing with something like I have, where it was so heavy, I couldn't speak about it, because I didn't feel like I had, the space to speak. Speak anyway. And after you get out, you speak, because it's only in speaking that you can begin to heal, and you don't know where your words are going to touch other people. So speak, and speak boldly.
Good. Thank you for being on the show.
Thanks so much for having me. It was a pleasure.